it was all like so incredibly fast and unexpected, and not what I expected of a Tibetan Lama. I just thought, whatever he does, it's a blessing. Just sit there and accept it. If any other man had done that to me, I would have just pushed him away.
One should not blanketly assume that every Tibetan Lama is out to have as much sex with young women as possible. That's not true. But it's nonetheless a situation in which there are lots of unclarities and lots of room for what we would call abusive behavior.
Unclarities like whether teachers were monks who had taken vows of celibacy or tantric lamas, laymen who could use sex so that students learn to control their energies and experience desire to overcome it.
These relations should be framed within the strictures of Vajrayana Buddhism, but of course human beings being human beings, personal interests are very likely to have a role as well. You have a great cultural gap between the understanding of the teacher and the background and the expectations of the student.
It was a system wide open to exploitation. In the 70s, Sogyal traveled across the United States and met the leading Buddhist Lama in the West, Sogyal Rinpoche.
There were all these women lined up outside his door. The way he described it was that he felt like a rock star, and that this is how Trungpa lived. And he said exactly that he wanted what Trungpa had created, that he wanted to create something just like that. And it was completely plain to me that he saw the attention of the Buddhist students as groupies.
Where did he?
That's another thing that's really weird. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I was going to say it. Like, if you're already abiding in your self-perfected nature, whole, complete, why do you need to be like anything necessarily on the, be like some other guru? You're your own guru. Like, why do you need to be like some other dude? Like, so you can get your dick wet? Like, that's the whole, like, what? Like, I don't know. I just feel like if someone's self-perfected and complete within themselves, are they going to be that thirsty for dick or pussy? I'm just saying. Like, just, like, I mean, I can see having like a being sexual desire, or attraction, or wanting sex, whatever, but to the point where you're like manipulating your environment so you can get people lined up to engage with you. I mean, that's like a lot of effort to get your dick wet. Damn, like that's like, you're making tremendous effort on this. All strategic and like how I want to do this and make it be like that. And like, I don't know, man. It just seems like maybe not the healthiest relationship to sex. You know, I'm just saying, okay.
British journalist Mary Finnegan has been tracking Sogyal Rinpoche off and on for 16 years, seeking out the stories of women who were abused. It is not just journalistic curiosity that drives her, but the knowledge that she played a part in creating a star.
I'm one of the people who launched Sogyal on his career as a teacher in London in 1973, when he was very young and very inexperienced.
Finnegan became uncomfortable when she realized that Sogyal Rinpoche didn't know the teachings very well, and when she saw how he treated women.
Bastard says to me,
Look out.
with the consort of a master, you're very lucky.
There was just this continuous stream of seductions. I mean, he didn't even hide it in those days. He was absolutely flagrantly promiscuous. And he would pick girls up, usually vulnerable, needy, and sort of entertain them for a short while, and then dump them.
Yet few women came forward with their stories. Victoria tried in the 1990s when another woman known as Janice Doe accused Sogyal of sexual abuse, claiming he required her to perform degrading acts to prove her complete devotion and belief in him. But when that lawsuit was settled, silently, out of court, Victoria found others wanted the whole matter brushed away.
People fear that if you talk about a Buddhist teacher as being human, that somehow that's not perfect enough.
There is a lot at stake. Sogyal is the founder and spiritual director of the Buddhist organization Rigpa and its more than 100 centers in 40 countries. L'Arabling in southern France is the crown jewel in Rigpa's vast network with one of the largest temples in the West. Sogyal Rinpoche remains untarnished by scandal.
He was placed on the throne by this small group in Cambridge. Then it grew bigger and bigger, and now in a such big position that the Buddhist community is cannot do anything against him because he's too big.
How can a spiritual master treat women so badly?
Then there is an idea also in Tibetan culture that women are second birth, lesser birth. So they're really second-class citizens. Then you have the idea that young women, if you have sex with young women, it will give you a longer life. So in a way, you have all these different things come together. And then if you have somebody who thinks he's awakened and everybody tells him he's awakened, then I think it really inflates the ego.
And that's ironic, inflated ego, because the whole point of studying the Buddhist teachings is to diminish your identification with your ego structure. And you can see it with awareness as separate from yourself. To me, I thought that was the whole point of, like, really, to be honest with you, all the spiritual teachings. I'm just saying, maybe I'm missing something. So it's weird and ironic when all this stuff goes down. So they had that you're lucky if he beats you, you're lucky if the Lama is interested in you sexually, you're lesser birth because you're female, and that goes against what I've seen as well, and understanding spiritual teachings. Men and women are equal. They're just as equal. They're equal. They're not one is better than the other. Like, they're different. You know, they've got different qualities, different strengths and weaknesses, and they're meant to be supportive of each other with those differences. But now they're not at this current iteration in time. It seems like men are not getting along as well. But I feel like the male and female principle, just in general, they're out of balance. Like, men are, like, addicted to shit and porn and, like, infected with all these, like, red pill mind viruses, and women only see their value as being a hot babe and, like, sells her vag on OnlyFans. And that's what the relational dynamics have become. Fuck. That's depressing, dude. And yeah, it sucks because all I know is that men and women are equal. My point, I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry. But men and women are equal. One's not better than the other. They just have different qualities. They're both sacred principles, equal, like yin and yang. Like, it's like, what the frick? It's so annoying. It goes totally against all the Buddhist teachings talks about all sentient beings, not just male sentient beings. But they act like all their prayers are just based on male. I'm just saying male sentient beings. Like, you've got to take it literally. All sentient beings. Not even just humans, but just all in all other realms. Animal realms and all that too. Just saying.
What is dangerous is the fact that the students need their teacher to be amazing. So they think the teacher is totally, completely awakened.
Mimi escaped the physical and sexual abuse after 3 years in the inner circle. Now, on the outside, she has decided to speak out, to offer an alternative view of the Rinpoche and explain how women get drawn in.
It's a bit similar to this Stockholm syndrome. You know, you're locked up in this tiny environment where someone is beating you up every day, but it's also the person who's giving you the only emotional attention and the actual food and the roof, yeah?
Getting out came at a cost. Mimi slowly built stronger connections to the outside world until she felt able to walk away. But once out, she felt threatened and for years blocked details of what had happened.
See, that's like too culty. That's some cult shit. If you're like having to try to break free um and the thing is that makes me think the points to it having delved into cult is that you can't question anything. You're not allowed to question. Like, if you can't question shit, that means it's in cult territory. I'm sorry. You should always be able to question anything, to understand something. And you should be able to question certain things. And like, that's the thing in this kind of environment. Like, this shit, like, I don't think it was to the teacher's advantage that this went on for like 30 plus years. Because how is that beneficial? Like, letting like someone who is hurting people keep going because you're too afraid to speak out because he's some kind of anointed cult guru, God King, and he can do no wrong even though he's doing all this shit that's messing with people. I mean, making them feel used and abused, but the way cults work is that they always blame the victim. They always are like, oh, it's the victim's fault, like they just don't get it, or it's just so, oh God, if it wasn't so cliche.
Finally, after months of illness, she decided she needed to confront Sogyal.
I went with my lawyer and I confronted him by giving him a drawing that was explicit about what my experience had been.
She has all her journals from her time as a member of the inner circle and her memories. And she is drawing and writing about that time, trying to exorcise the chill she still lives with.
I feel very sad because I just remember me having lost myself and being in a group of particularly other young girls who lost themselves even more because I don't see them coming back to themselves today.
Despite growing suspicions about the master, Mimi's father had no personal knowledge of sexual abuse until he learned what had happened to her. Even then, he gave the master a chance to explain.
I'm an airline pilot, and I want things to be extremely rigorous. I went to Sogyal and asked him directly what happened and what he did and why was he doing that and so on. He did not deny what was asking. I asked him a few details about condoms and so on, but it was confirmed. Then I decided to leave and to help the victims.
Mimi and Guy aren't the only ones breaking their silence. Several Canadians left retreats at Lerabling because of Sogyal's behavior. They came from this Rigpa center in Montreal. When Denise Saint-Hubert made her plans to leave known, Sogyal called her in for a talk.
I told him I found it unacceptable to choose vulnerable young Western women, neophytes to the Dharma, to perform so-called initiation practices that were sexual in nature.
So-called, quote-unquote. Mind you, when I was going to study groups once a week, once or twice a week, and a retreat once a year. And at retreat, like if you're just the person in the audience listening, it's like, you're not part of the whole what goes on behind the scenes, really. I mean, I volunteered, I would see things, but at retreats, I never saw anything. I did see the harem, but I didn't know what it was at the time. I would see a gaggle of young, beautiful women coming out of some back room, like in a gaggle. They're usually always in threes, walking around together. I don't know. It was weird. I've seen it a couple times, and they'd come out of some back room, and they were like young, and you could tell they were really pretty, but they were really emaciated. They're really skinny, and they looked really tired, and they looked like just exhausted. And I was like, that's weird, because I thought it was so weird because I didn't place it as the harem at the time. But hindsight 2020, that's what it was, because he had a preference for young, skinny, particular women. I mean, all this shit's online. You could find out for yourself, like. But I was clueless about stuff other than seeing shit like that at retreats. I didn't really know until all this shit came out. One day I was at work and I was like, oh, I didn't bring because I have cassette tapes of there's like various teaching topics and stuff of him, Sogyal Rinpoche, talking and stuff. And I was like, oh, I forgot my cassette tape. I'm gonna like Google his name online, and just pull a YouTube teaching or something and just put my earbuds. Like that's what I was gonna do. I didn't even know, dude. I was so like in the woods about a lot of shit. I just focused on the teachings. That was it. Not all whatever's going on with his personal life. I didn't really care. And then I just Googled his name, Sogyal Rinpoche. Like that was it. That's all I Googled. And dude, a whole like search engine page, like scrolling down and down search engine, just all like sex scandal, duh, 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 duh. Like, dude, there was so much shit. I was like, oh my God. And like, of course I started clicking on shit because I'm like, what's this? Click, click. Dude, it was like, and the tripped out thing, this was like a year, or this was several years before like the letter came out. I'm going to read clips of the letter that came out. Dude, this was like 5 years. This was around the time of this In the Name of Enlightenment video came out. I think that did something with the SEO because it was just, oh my God. Anyway, and I was reading all this shit and I was like, oh my God, it was just, it fucked with me. It still fucks with me because it was so antithetical to the teachings in the book, which is the whole premise of the Buddhist teachings is a strong ethical framework because it's like what Christ said, do unto others as you would do unto yourself, because it's literal. Like what you do to others, you experience like yourself directly. Like, and the whole point of all the spiritual teachings is to help us recognize that there is no inner or outer. There's no separate self and other. I know it's hard because our dualistic perception totally sees that, but that's the thing. That's why when you do things to others, you're literally doing it to yourself. And so the fact that, and the whole premise of most spiritual teachings, Buddhism included, is ethical conduct, because you don't want to harm others. You don't want to do anything that's gonna, because it's essentially harming yourself. Like, so it was so ironic that he was doing all this stuff to women and stuff, and like women are feeling fucked up and abused and, oh my God. But anyway, I have the link in the description. You can continue to watch this, but it was a mind fuck.